bringing you all the commentating. Is there beef? Is there beef? This racing is so exciting. They rock the Nashua network. That Beagle's cracking them up in the background. It is racing at Atlanta. It is racing at Talladega. Never turn right.
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
Of the Nashua Blanchard's towing Xfinity Series. Brady LaBeouf will win the championship and the race in the ButtKicker 250.
Keith Bradley gets his second championship on the Friday Night Series with the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series Season 8. This rookie season, he will win the championship for the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines! I hear you all my day, and the audience smile, and the audience smile, and the audience smile.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
The NASRA 360 Racing Network is live with the continuation of the playoffs as we welcome you to the virtual Darlington Raceway and we get you set for the next round here in the opening semifinals or the quarterfinal rounds of the playoffs. Tonight is the ButtKicker 200 from Darlington. Welcome to coverage on the NASRA 360 Racing Network, and obviously I'm Wesley Outland. The redneck announcer, Jacob Reeves, is alongside. Bigglesdean Hopton on production. And Jacob, we're coming off of a big virtual high. Please, nobody take that word the wrong way. And that is because of the great race we saw last night in the Season 5 opener for the DSR Electric Truck Series. Winner, of course, Lucas Lyons, and now we see what happens here in season number 3 of the Blanchard's Tow and Xfinity Series, and the playoffs are still just in their second race. Good evening.
Absolutely. Good evening to you, Wesley Outland. I mean, and last week, we saw a lot of crazy stuff, all kinds of cool stuff. I talked a little bit about it on the Door Banging Download as well, but Octavio Rondoletto getting out there and got the win last week when we went to Michigan. And one thing about it, we went to Michigan, big old track, 2 miles, all the drafting, all that crazy stuff. And then you go straight to Darlington, which is right here in Darlington, South Carolina, 1.36 miles in length. And it is the granddaddy of them all. At least that's what they used to call it back in the old days, Wesley. So 2 completely different tracks that we've seen here for the past 2 weeks. This is going to be a good one here this evening.
Let's take a look at the race analysis for tonight's events here in the ButtKicker 200 at Darlington. Well, first off, let's take a look at the grid as the grid is now working in to the starting lineup here. They're getting set. Let's give you the starting lineup. Colin Weatherholt and Octavio Rondoletto. Would you have it any other way? By the way, great episode of the Door Banging Download explained by my colleague Jacob Reeves. Talks about this battle between Weatherholt and Rondoletto, and it goes again tonight on the front row at Darlington. Darren Bruce and Drew Ballesteros will make up row 2. Winner last night at Daytona, Lucas Lyons, and the Bulldog Adam Nuke make row 3. Michael Larch, Richie Joplin row 4. The Tiny Horse Ryan Johnson and Bernard Person will make up the top 5, followed by Jonathan Cofield and Justin White, row number 6.
Then Trevor C. Williams is going to start in the 13th spot with Dean Doucette. Boy, he was close last week to win it at Michigan, but he's going to start 14th here this evening. Greg McCody in the 12 will start in the 15th spot. He is the last driver to take a time. The rest of these guys probably wanted to either start at the back or they ended up having an EOL penalty from Michigan. So Latero Lamperti will end up starting 16th with Tristan Bruce starting in 17th. Austin Evey's going to be 18th. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. will start in the 19th spot. Dean Gagliano will be 20th. Gerald Poole 21st. And obviously race director TJ Moore in the house. And he's going to be putting up with all the chaos that's going to happen here tonight, Wes.
Yeah, the word is chaos, no doubt, as we watch these drivers work their way around the racetrack, and they're going to make a couple of preliminary laps. Let's look at the bottom right here for tonight's ButtKicker 200 at Darlington. Race number 2 in the playoffs, of course. Let's see it. We're going to move into 150 laps tonight, 200 miles here at Darlington. Stay green at stage 1. That'll move us into Glass Mechanics stage 2. That'll take us all the way to lap 85, if you will, after a 60-lap run into that second stage. A caution will be thrown, and then they'll battle it out there to lap 150 for the finish. Last night for the Truck Series of DSR, unlimited attempts, but we're still locked in at 3 attempts at overtime if need be for this series. And how about this? Look at the scoring pylon as you see Octavio Rondoletto, winner last week at Michigan, and now Darlington, Richmond, the final 2 races in the next 2 weeks, Jacob, to determine who goes to the semifinals. We kind of hinted on this. There's not 10 races in this playoff series. There is only 7. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's big right there. That's completely different than what we see, like what we was talking about, DSR Electric Truck Series playoffs, even the NASRA Cup Series, and obviously the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series is way different than any of those. This right here, this is one of those, I guess you could say, like this series is like a bullet train. It just absolutely, it rocks and rolls, son. It is gone before you know it. I mean, literally, we start at Daytona, and then as soon as you blink your eyes, you're already right here at Darlington. I mean, that's just how quick this season goes, and especially with the playoffs as well.
Well, looking forward to see what happens as these drivers are working their way into turn number 4. This egg-shaped racetrack in the PD region of virtual South Carolina. Here they come. Pace cars on the pit lane. The ButtKicker 200 is coming to the green, and we're going to crank it up for you as we're underway here at Darlington. The rumble, the excitement, the speed at full song here at the virtual Lady in Black. Got to ride up on the high side. Got to kiss that outside retaining wall of the outside safer barrier without causing any damage. They call that Jacob Reeves the Darlington stripe, and Weatherholt leads the opening lap here at the Big D.
Absolutely. This track right here, it's like old Sterling Marlin said way back around the early 2000s. Just race this old track, and she'll be good to you. The Lady in Black obviously can snack on these old boys if they get up just a little bit too high and get in that wall. And I've been in that wall numerous times, Wesley. You get up just a little bit too high. It's like once you get in that wall, you just cannot get off of it. You can hit the brakes, you can turn hard left, but eventually you will come down. But it's not like those other tracks. Once you get in the wall here, it's like damn glue. You just cannot get off of it. So Weatherholt getting a pretty good run, trying to shoot out right now. Rondeletto won last week. Darren Bruce up here with Ballesteros lines the top 5, working their way through 3 and 4.
And here they come. Couple of laps into this one. You're on board, by the way. Octavio Rondeletto a moment ago, and there is Salem, Wisconsin's Cheesehead. Even though the Green Bay Packers just got annihilated the other night in the playoffs, so did my Steelers, pardon the pun, Ryan Johnson. I feel the same pain they feel, Jacob. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Well, yeah, and I feel the same pain as everybody. And Wesley, me and you feel it as well, where Alabama couldn't even make the damn playoffs. But, I mean, anyway, yeah, too early, I believe, out of that one. Just a little bit too early. But, you know, one thing about this, Wesley, you know, a lot of fans, if you remember the movie Days of Thunder, where Tom Cruise, you know, and obviously Robert Duvall and all that cool stuff and everything else, when they raced here at Darlington, if you remember correctly, they always talked about treacherous turn 4, turn 4. Well, back in that movie, the track was actually flip-flopped. So what they're racing on right now in the movie was the back stretch. And when they come through this turn the way that it is right now, going into turn number 2, coming off turn number 2, this right here was the front stretch that they are on. And they talk about treacherous turn 4. I'm going to call it treacherous turn 2 because there is no telling how many times I beat that damn wall down trying to get off of turn number 2.
And treacherous turn 4 is treacherous turn 2 as well. We'll keep an eye on that. By the way, just some of the actors of Days of Thunder included, of course, the great actor Tom Cruise. It was not Wesley Allen and Jacob Reeves, I promise you. It was Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Carrie Els. How do you say his name? Els. He's kind of an English guy. Carrie Els. Yeah.
Randy
He's going high. He's going low. Son of a... That's all I remember. And by the way, and they're talking about another movie.
I really hope they make another one. I really do. I mean, I really hope they make another one because, you know, and I'm not surprised if you think about it. Matter of fact, shout it out there in the live chat. What y'all think about that if they was to make another Days of Thunder movie? I mean, you know, I was fixing to say, obviously they made Top Gun Maverick. They made, you know, a sequel to Top Gun. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. I really think, you know, it would be cool to have a Days of Thunder 2, but hopefully they don't have them in electric cars because if they do, they're just going to kill the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't know how they would. Here's my take on it. I don't know what they could do to make it be what it was from the first one, right? Sometimes the sequels kill the movie franchise. And I don't want to get off subject here, but it is a racing movie. But I just feel like after what happened in the first movie, basically, it's like, where do you go from here unless you have, like, maybe Tom Cruise become the crew chief and he's got a kid, him and Nicole had a kid and we don't know about, and, you know, or maybe Russ Willer's son becomes a race car driver. I don't know. You know, I will tell you that I've been told from some buddies of mine at NASCAR that they have been. Paramount obviously has the rights to the name and the movie. They are in negotiations of talking with NASCAR and letting the cameras and the setup and everything happen to film the movie. So, and Darlington was very popular from the movie Days of Thunder. A lot of people might not have known that, but that movie, when it came out in 1990, this was one of the premier tracks of NASCAR back in that day. Weatherholt is leading right now with 10 in. We're really just kind of rambling right now because, honestly, Jacob Reeves, we've got a very calm, cool, collective race in the opening 12 laps or so here at Darlington.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of common right here to kind of see everybody just kind of hanging out, nobody really getting crazy, getting up in the wall. And, you know, and real quick, you know, if I may, you know, I do want to ramble about one more thing out of all that. Think about Cousin Eddie. Obviously, you know, Cousin Eddie, I think everybody knows where I may be going with this one right here, but Cousin Eddie, out of the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and all that stuff, he ended up having a damn RV, and he was in that bad of shape, and then somehow or another he got casted to be in the Days of Thunder, and guess what? Now he owns a damn race team. So the one thing I can put between both of that, yes, Dean, he really does. Yes, he owns a race team. So
Randy Quaid does own a race team. He really does. Yeah.
The biggest thing I can say out of that, dreams can come true in NASCAR, even if you end up having to live in an RV just for a little while. Dreams can come true, folks.
If you're young at heart, they can happen to you. All right, and we're back here at Darlington. Let's talk about Darlington Raceway, 1.366 miles long. This is an egg-shaped racetrack, 25 degrees of banking in turns 1. Turn 2 is 23 degrees. Turns 3 and 4 are the same, right? So 25 degrees in turns 1 and 2. 23 degrees in turns 3 and 4. The front stretch is 3 degrees. The back stretch is 2 degrees. And what's so unique about this racetrack, Jacob, and we know, it's egg-shaped. And it offers... The way that the track is made on one end of the spectrum is not the way that it's made on the other side. And it is such a unique beast because literally you have to ride the wall. You have to kiss the outside safer barrier just on the edge of smacking it or slapping it to get a Darlington stripe. You have to do it here in these stages.
Yeah, absolutely. You are 100% correct. And I tell you what, you know, anybody out there on the live chat, do you know why this track is shaped like the egg shape that it is?
Yes.
Because, well, let's let the live chat know.
They were not drunk. They were not drunk.
Let the live chat figure it out, Wesley. That'd be something for them to kind of try to get out there. It'd be cool to interact with the fans. So if any of y'all know why that Darlington is the shape that it is, chime it in out there on the live chat, and whoever gets it right first, I guess you get called out on the broadcast. So yeah, Dean's right. Yeah, he gets a beer, I guess.
And by the way, Bo Tiffany was exactly correct. Drivers, Greg Sachs, and Dave Marcus drove the cars in the movie Days of Thunder. A lot of people did not know that, but they drove those cars on the racetrack in real time. And yes, somebody got it correctly. Bo Tiffany, you're right. It's the pond. There was a Harold Brazenton. When they created the racetrack at Darlington, there was a dispute over the land and the property, and the man that owned the property said, no, I'm not going to give you up this piece of land because my pond is here. And in doing so, Jacob Reeves, that is why the racetrack was built. Because, well, they did it to prove a point because he said, well, you're not going to build a racetrack because there's a pond here. Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to put out our construction plans and we're going to build an egg. But that's exactly what they did. There's your story.
Absolutely. Bo Tiffany got it right. Also, Jordan Jurassic, I think he actually chimed in first. I believe that's Jordan Jurassic. JCR Jay
Yeah,
Wow
Jordan
is back. I
Jurassic,
believe that is
Jurassic,
Jordan
yep.
Jurassic. So,
Why
yeah,
he racing
was,
tonight?
he kind of, I don't even know where he's at.
I think he
I'm not
runs
100%
Xfinity,
where
does
he's
he?
at. So, I don't think he does. I think he's been running in the Cup Series here just a little bit here lately. But check this out. All this rambling going on. Little battle right here for the 4th spot. Tiny Horse, Ryan Johnson trying to shoot around the outside of Drew Ballesteros. Lyons trying to come with him. Cofield back here. All this going on for the 5th spot. Check him out off 2 as a couple of them almost got to the wall.
Blanchard's going Xfinity Series playoffs, and this is the ButtKicker 200 from Darlington. Right now, it's Weatherhold in the lead. Rondoletto right behind him about a half a second. Look at this battle now heating up for the top 10. That's Lyons. There's Large. There's Joplin. They're all in this mix trying to make a run on Cofield. This happens as they work back into turn number 1 and 2.
Yeah,
hey, there it is.
There. Check it out. There's your Days of Thunder movie poster right here, live on the NASRA 360 Racing Network. And Cofield trying to get the better, I guess you could say, of his young protege, Lucas Lyons. You know, we talked about that a while ago, as we're seeing right now. I believe is that Dean Doucette or Dean Gagliano, I believe? Yes,
Dean Gagliano.
Yeah, Gagliano right now on pit road, so something amiss right here. Maybe trying to go ahead and flip the stage somehow, some way right here. It's 3 to go right here in stage 1. But, you know, I was talking about Lucas Lyons and Cofield. Cofield trying to get the better of him here tonight. And Cofield was so happy that Lyons ended up getting that win last night. I'm telling you, I mean, Wesley, granted, some of these guys, they race in different series. And even though that was the DSR Electric Truck Series last night, believe it or not, it can carry momentum into these other leagues that these guys race in to know, hey, yeah, I can win in Nazareth. I got some confidence. I got some momentum. I can pull it out here in an Xfinity car at Darlington.
And with all this going on, we still see Colin Weatherholt and Rondoletto continue to play cat and mouse with one another. 1 and 2 on the racetrack. At least that's the way it stands right now. Another lap in. Bruce is in 2nd or 3rd spot. Johnson and Ballesteros your top 5. And we are moving into the end of stage number 2. Or stage 1 going into stage 2. And I want to let you know as well. There will be no caution going into stage number 2. They will stay green, and that's something that we've seen the series do here. Some people like it, some people don't. I do, because it makes the race go by a lot smoother, and you don't want to change the rhythm of things, I think, Jacob.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you 100%. It actually changes the strategy up because, you know, it's like NASCAR. You know, they throw a caution at every stage. These guys do it kind of old school. Pay out the stage points and go ahead and keep them going. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Is Weatherhold was actually getting run down right there by Rondoletto. I mean, he ran him down to 0.3 of a second right there. And so Weatherhold right now having that lead right now kind of shrunk. He was out to about a second lead, and then it shrunk down to 0.3 of a second. But Weatherhold gets stage 1 with Octavio Rondoletto second, Darren Bruce, Tiny Horse, Ryan Johnson, Drew Ballesteros the top 5. But we're going to stay green, baby.
We will stay green. We are in stage number 2. We are in stage 2. It's presented by Glass Mechanic here at Darlington.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about that, yeah.
Big race coming up in February. We were talking about the big race last night in Daytona for the DSR Truck Series. It all culminates to the NASRA Speed Weeks and the NASRA 500 presented by Glass Mechanic. We'll be back. Here's more details about it.
Hands up there, pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
Oh, we're back here at Darlington Raceway. Thanks for joining us. And Octavio Rondoletto, after commercial break, Jacob Reeves in stage 2 has caught up with Weatherhold as they battle for the lead now, working off a 2.
Yeah, I think when we went to commercial break, I think he went ahead and saw we was going to commercial. He would go ahead and hit the nitrous button and jump right up there on the back bumper. Colin Weather, I'm just messing with y'all right now on all that right now. I'm just joking with you, folks. But here we go, Rondoletto all up in the back bumper right now. Check it out, got the virtual cam and the real cam right there. Looks like he's very calm from what I'm seeing right here out of Octavio. But I will say this, it is very hard to drive this car here at Darlington because, I've raced the truck here, I've raced the Xfinity car here. This car is very tight. It gets very tight here at this racetrack. You can be very careful. It's like I was talking about right there. Got a little bit tight, jumped up, got up another wall.
Stage 2, presented by Glass Mechanic, rolls on here at virtual Darlington Raceway. There's Octavio Rondoletto. There's the onboard camera. Nobody behind him. Lonely. No, that's the back stretch. That's not the broadcast booth there, Jacob. That's what used to be right here coming off turn 4. This used to be the back stretch. Now it's the front stretch, and there's the new front straightaway tower up there. There we go. And I've been in that booth before, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go to this racetrack. I've never actually been to it in real life. Really would love to check this place out right here because I've heard some of my good friends have actually came to this racetrack, and they say that it is an absolute blast. Very, very beautiful place. Check it out right here. This is the Brady Bunch, is the way that I look at it right here. Obviously, Brady, the Boss of Nazareth. Well, yeah, I mean, you can put quad four, Brady Bunch right there, Tidy Horse up there in the top right. Check out Greg right there, just eyes focused on it. Justin White, he kind of looks like he's been having a little bit of moonshine right there. He just kind of just kicked back and rocking and rolling right there. And obviously, Octavio Rondoletto in there as well.
Greg McConey. Here you see Greg. He's got a worrisome look on his face, doesn't he? Oh, look out! Oh, that's fine. There's a wall there, buddy. Don't hit it. No, that's what the old front straightaway used to be back in the day. And then they said, no, we need to make this bigger. So, and I've stood up on top of Winston Tower. There's Winston Tower.
Justin White looks like he's kind of a little bit of sleep right there. Kind of looks like he's just kind of riding around, just trying to get it going and everything else. But I will say this, you were talking about, Greg McConey right there when he was going through the quarter and just how focused his eyes was. I'm telling you right now, you can actually get one of those virtual cams and watch one of these guys when they come up and they bounce off of the wall. You'll literally be able to see their eyes literally get wider and wider and wider the closer they get to the wall. Because that happens to me numerous times. I'm sure it happens to every driver that races as well. And right now, Weatherhold, he hadn't hit the wall yet, but his eyes is going to be getting very wide right now as Rondoletto sends it into 3. Getting all the way up on the back bumper, kind of pulling a little bit of a intimidator right now, trying to see if he can shake, rattle, and roll, I guess, with Weatherhold right there in front of him and try to shake him out of the way and try to get the lead and try to win 2 weeks in a row.
Little snake it before you make it, as you mentioned, as we continue to race on here. Cross the line to the lap of the board. It is Weatherhold in the lead. He's up in front. Rondoletto in second, Johnson third, Bruce Cofield top 5, Lynn Purdy, Ballesteros, Large, Joplin, Newton top 10. This is Glass Mechanic Stage 2. This will take us to lap 85. So far, it has been flag to flag, caution free. Damn it, Wesley, you jinxed it. And we will get a caution at the end of stage 2 as they work off the Boeing back stretch. And we are seeing Jacob Reeves closing in on 40 laps into it. Green flag pit stops. Daytona winner last night, Lucas Lyons on pit road.
Yeah, this is normal right here to see these guys go down pit road right here about this point in time. Right here, I was expecting, maybe to see some guys maybe flip it right there in the very first stage, not trying to go for the playoff points or the stage points rather, and just try to flip it. But this right here is about smack dab right in the middle of what you would have for a whole run because you're going all the way to 85. Split it right down the middle and go at about 40. That way you go 40 and 45 on your tires. And you see it right now. Rondoletto and Weatherholt are just straight up struggling right now. And they're not struggling just because of, themselves. I mean, it's not driver talent. It's just the damn car. I mean, you look at the lap times they're running. They're running 31.0s. And what they ran at qualifying was 29.1s. They are 2 seconds slower than what they've been running right now as far as what they was running at qualifying. So this is big deal right here. This is a big deal. As you saw it right there on your screen, what they ran for qualifying and what they're running right now, 2 seconds slower. That's how bad this place will eat your tires alive. It's kind of like Dover, to be honest with you, Wesley.
And right now, it is Weatherholt, Rondoletto, Johnson, Bruce, Cofield, top 5. No change in any of those positions as we still are single file on the racetrack. And right now, Jacob, you kind of hinted on it. I encourage everybody to check out the Door Bang and download on all major podcast platforms and outlets. You hinted on it in your show on Sunday night that just dropped. You talked about Weatherholt and Rondoletto. These two drivers is kryptonite. Weatherholt is his kryptonite. Octavio Rondoletto, or for that matter, we're ready to see what these guys can do. Rondoletto won last week in the opening race at Michigan for the playoffs. And right now, Weatherholt win here at Darlington. We know Weatherholt has experience at Darlington. He's won here before. These two drivers, as you mentioned, could possibly be the deciding factor to not only go to the championship 6, but for the championship at the end of the season.
Absolutely. That is exactly true. And that's why I said what I said about that on the podcast. And, everybody, obviously Jordan Durasic out there saying that they are dogging the field. And they really are dogging the field. I mean, they're 5 seconds ahead of Tiny Horse. Ryan Johnson sitting right there in that third spot. As you see Tiny Horse just now going through 3 and 4. Both of them just hit off turn 4. And they're hitting the line right now. Tiny Horse just trying to come off of turn 4. So these guys putting down some serious pace right now. And the bad part about it is Tiny Horse is not running as fast as they are. So he only, both the leaders got 2/10 on him that time around, as we see more guys going down right here about this halfway point, going in, getting 4 fresh tires, filling it up, trying to make it all the way to the end of stage number 2.
We're seeing green flag pit stops now start to take place. Andrew Durasic is chiming in. He said, yeah, man, I'm across the country. Obviously, I know he's in the military. He's in Korea, I think is what he told us. Obviously, thank you for your service in the military, Jordan. Bo Tiffany chiming in. Thank you, sir. Cody Dodd says, could not be more happier with Lucas Lyons. Amazing work last night in the races at Daytona for Dragon Team on Monday. Got the win. And Warrior on Tuesday. So Cody Dodd, of course, behind Nazareth with Brady LaBeouf. Brady celebrated a birthday yesterday. The Hot Lap podcast will be live this week on Thursday. So there's something to talk about. The Hot Lap podcast with Tyler Dittmer, Jacob, and Brady LaBeouf is returning back. It'll be on Thursday night. Got a lot to talk about. And obviously, we got Iowa. We got Iowa tomorrow night, the cornfields of the Midwest at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. Will Jacob Reeves, we have an 11th different winner of the season. And of course, from there, the Days of Thunder rolls into the final race of the Season 9 NASCAR Cups, the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. And that'll be Friday night at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that's going to be another exciting race down to the end as well, Jacob. We look forward to bringing them all to you.
Absolutely. And I actually made my pick on who I wanted to win, or who I think is going to win, rather, for the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. Made that pick on DVD, and I stick with it 100%. I took MDW. I took him 9 ways to Sunday. On that, I feel like that he is due. I feel like that he should be able to pull it off at Charlotte. Obviously, Tristan Bruce, Chris Blanchard, all those guys, that'll be a good one. But I also talk about this series. I talk about everything that's going on with NASCAR. Obviously, we have a little bit of beef. Had some beef with our great producer, Dean Hopton. Had a little beef with him on the past episode Sunday night. So, Please don't mute me, Dean. Don't do it. You'll be up there 2 weeks in a row. You'll make the Hall of Fame. Don't do it. Don't do it. But if you get a chance, go check it out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Going to try to throw up some stuff on YouTube here very, very soon. And obviously the Hot Lap Podcast. I mean, just 2 great shows, honestly, Wesley, that talk about everything that's going on in Nazareth. And as much as Nazareth is growing, getting more people's eyes and ears on the product.
Oh, and by the way, also a show you were on the finale of Season 6,
yes.
Season 7, a finish line, will be returning in February. They actually said, hey, man, take a little bit of time off. I don't blame them. I'm ready to have a little break myself, as busy as I always am, as we got one in the wall. Hold on. Cofield almost, wow, into the outside wall, the 213 Simware.com Chevrolet. And Cofield's now just trying to keep it on, if you will, after lap 50 on the board. That's been the most exciting thing we've had in the race.
Yeah, and the Butcher's really starting to put a lot of pressure right now on Cofield for that 4th spot. And Latero Lamperti, the Butcher, started 16th in the field, and he's already got up here and cracked the top 5. You see Tiny Horse not too far ahead of him. These 3 guys basically going for a podium spot at this point, because Weatherholt and Rondoletto are straight up gone. So this is the battle that we're seeing. This is the closest battle, at least, that we've seen right now so far. Lamperti trying to go down to the bottom side, but Cofield able to get the run, all 3 and 4, and be able to secure that spot for now. But the higher he goes, Wesley, and the more these tires get wore out, eventually he's going to get up into the wall like he did a while ago. And Lamperti trying to keep it on the bottom, trying to be very safe, and just let Cofield try to rim ride it up on the high side. That way Lamperti can shoot down on the inside when he gets hugged up into the wall and be able to drive right past him and get forward.
Finish line will return on Wednesday, February the 12th. That's about a month from now. Wednesday, February 12th, right before the Daytona 500. So there you go. Dean Doucette, my buddy out of Canada from Wind Tunnel TV. Also, he's on pit lane 8, Chevrolet. Here comes green flag pit stops. Tristan Bruce, Justin White. Green flag pit stops here as we're closing in on about 35 remaining of stage number 2, presented by Glass Mechanic, and a very quiet race, Jacob. I'm very impressed.
Very quiet. Very, very quiet race. And one thing about this, you saw those guys going down pit road as you hear the lug nuts back there. Justin White getting him a little sip of moonshine right there before he gets back going. But, you know, we didn't really get a chance to talk about this pit road. This pit road is very, very tough to get down right here, much like Dover, where Dover's real hard to get down. And I mean, I wouldn't compare it to the new Atlanta, how that particular pit road is from going into 3 and then having to keep it all the way down the bottom. This right here, in my opinion, I believe this is the hardest pit road to even get on in all of Nazareth and everything on sim racing, because you got to get it at a right point. You got to dive it down as hard as you can down on the inside, not hit the inside retaining wall. And that gap to go into the pits is not wide. It's obviously a lot wider than what it was at the Nashville Fairgrounds, where it was Friday night for the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series Elite 10 ended. It's a little bit wider than that, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot of room right there for you to screw up. You screw up just a little bit, you'll either hit that barrel or you'll end up missing the pits by a country mile.
So glad you and yours are joining us for coverage, of course, on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Weatherholt in the lead, Rondoletto second, about a second and a quarter. Here's a look at, now let's see Bruce come down pit lane. He'll give up 5th spot. Darren Bruce in the 14 Toyota Supra from Hidden Knight. Here comes Austin Evey, his Toyota, Sundrop colors, onto the pit lane. Weatherholt, Rondoletto, there you see the average time around the racetrack per speed. 31:23 for Weatherholt, 31:52. As I say that, Jacob, here comes the showman, Rondoletto, on pit road as we approach lap 60 at Darlington.
And you know, one thing about this, we're seeing out there, that Bo Tiffany actually brought up a very good point. Would any of these guys go down and not take tires, just take fuel to try to make it to the end of the stage and try to save a set for later on. I got to be honest with you. I mean, there's 4 sets of tires. There's 3 in the pits, 1 on the car when they start. First pit stop, you have got to take tires. You got to take them. You see Rondeletto, he's taking them. Weatherholt trying to play catch up. He's going to go ahead and he's going to jump down pit road and take his 4 tires for this set right here. I just don't think you can stay out right there, at least pit, get gas, and then gas up back out there, because you will end up getting in a good spot. Obviously, you'll get out a lot faster than what you would, but at the same time, you're going to fill the car up anyway. Go ahead and put 4 tires on it at this point. You want to put as much fuel in the car as you can to be able to have something for the end of stage 2, or you can just try to make it to the end of stage 2. I mean, that's kind of an iffy kind of deal right there, but I just don't see why you would want to just take tires at that point. As you see Rondeletto right now coming through 1 and 2 right here. Tried that little leapfrog move right there, pit before Weatherholt. Weatherholt coming out right here. Rondeletto's going to be able to get him.
Cofield, remember, who got in the wall a moment ago, is now the new leader. You see Rondeletto now. Cofield will now come down to the pit lane. He'll lead for at least a half a lap. Larch, I'm thinking, is going to come down pit road as well. He's already on in the 11 Ford, and this will cycle back around to Octavio Rondeletto. And just like that, you just seen a full cycle from the top of the scoring pylon to the bottom, Jacob Reeves, of drivers coming down on pit lane. Some people in the good, some in the bad. And Rondeletto, when he comes back around, this time by off turn 4, will be the new leader. And he's in front of Weatherholt, something different than we've seen in the first 60 laps of this race.
Yeah, now, honestly, Weatherholt's going to have to play catch-up. He's at a completely different spot than what he's been, obviously, through stage 1 and the better part of stage number 2, which is playing second fiddle, I guess you could say, to Rondeletto. And he's not too far up the road, about a second and a half, give or take. We'll have to see how that gap will decrease or increase between Rondeletto and Weatherholt. But you see both of them right there on the screen. Weatherholt getting after it right now. These guys running 29.4s that time by Weatherholt. Rondeletto ran a 7. So now we're here. Weatherholt set the fastest lap. He was 3/10 faster than Rondeletto was that lap. Weatherholt getting after it right now. But the one thing about it, he's burning those tires up. But both of them done the same thing, Wesley. Both of them made those pit stops and went for the 4 tires on that pit stop right there. It's just Weatherholt. He's just driving the hell out of it, and he's just trying to catch him and try to sweep it.
And by the way, Jordan Durasic just chimed in and he said, I just found out there is a commitment cone before the actual pit road entrance cone. You can cut off turn 3 and make up time to pit road.
Yes.
I don't know if that's I didn't know about that. Maybe we could see it later. You know it, Jacob?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, and I've done that numerous times, and you'll probably see a lot of drivers do that. Even under caution, go down as low as they possibly can. Unless there's a rule in NASRA where they have to wait for a certain point on the wall to duck down and go into the pits under caution. But as far as I've ever known, under green, you can get right here in the middle of the backstretch, which is where Rondeletto is, and just go ahead and hit the brakes and go down all the way and literally cut off all of turn number 3 and dive it down. You just got to get it wound up, and like I said, you got to go through that gap. It's not that wide, but it's wide enough that you can fit that car in there with no problem unless you end up slipping up and screwing yourself. So, yeah, you can cut off at turn 3. I've done it literally every single time, because if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't do it, you're going to end up missing pit road.
Very smart. I didn't realize that. Michael Larch, the Farmers National Bank 11, down to the inside of the Ford, battling the other Ford, and Greg McConey, he drifts up in front of him, and then they'll take it to the outside lane up against the Darlington Spain wall. What a save right there for the 11. That could have been a big crossover move, and then disastrous, but both drivers patient, Jacob, patient between Larch and McConey right there in 9th and 10th.
Absolutely, right there. McConey's eyes, like we was talking about, kind of got a little bit wide right there. Now Rondeletto, his eyes maybe getting a little bit wider right now. As Weatherholt ran a 29.7 that last time around. Rondeletto 29.9 as they hit the line this time. Rondeletto back to a 29.9. Weatherhold actually backed it up a little bit. Now, he ran the same time as Rondeletto. He caught him by 2/10 right there, all over that back bumper. Shades of literally Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch from the 2003 Winston Cup Series season when they had that big old photo finish coming off of turn number 4. I got a feeling we may end up seeing both of these guys do the same exact thing unless something crazy happens. I could see a photo finish. We could see a photo finish between two of the best here for the Blanchard's Tour Xfinity Series here tonight at obviously the granddaddy of them all, like they called it, which is Darlington.
It is Darlington, the first ever, believe it or not, super speedway ever built in NASCAR was right here at Darlington. Before Daytona, before Talladega, it was this massive racetrack. Yes, it was. I was not even thought of yet. This racetrack was the first ever big super speedway of NASCAR, and it is still here. The longest running, besides NASCAR sanctioned, Bowman Gray Stadium, which, believe it or not, the Cup Series will be there in a few weeks for the Cookout Clash. Right now, we watch the two. Justin White, what a stellar run for him. If it now getting bypassed by Michael Arts. That's going on for 9th and 10th, 8th and 9th, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's just basically some give and take right there. He saw Larch kind of rolling in there and try to, and honestly, catch it. And Justin White knows Larch is a little bit faster right there. Just go ahead and let him go. And you mentioned Bowman Gray Stadium. They call that the Madhouse. They literally call that the Madhouse, which is kind of what they call the door banging down low, which is the Madhouse, because you never know what can happen on that. You really never know what can happen when they go to Bowman Gray. Obviously, they have all kinds of fights, all kinds of crazy stuff that happens over there at that. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that Madhouse happen for the Clash when the NASCAR Cup Series goes there.
Will be a good one. By the way, when you get a chance also, while you're hitting that like and subscribe on YouTube for the NASCAR 360 Racing Network, also find Motorsports Mania, because Jacob and myself will be calling some prestigious national motorsports events on that network coming very soon. We're going side by side. We're going to keep you right here for the action as we actually am now being told we're not going to go side by side. We are going to go to commercial break, so just stay right with us. We're back as we approach halfway. And we're not going to play the commercials with no sound, though. We're continuing to call the race. So I was confused. I was confused. Are we going to go? I mean, damn it! Are we going to go side by side, or are we going to go to a full commercial ad? So, but Jacob, he didn't say that, right? I thought he said let's go to an ad. Let's go to a break.
All I heard was ad. That's all I heard. But I'll say this: Murph's Magical Creations, great sponsor with NASRA and the NASRA 360 Racing Network. Obviously, you know Murph. Hunt Wigginton, obviously, been a past beer buddy. Obviously, real big with the Concerns of Police Survivors organization and all the cops and everything. He has gotten with old Murph. And old Murph wanting to come on the door banging download and spread a little beef out there as well. So that's going to be cool right there to get old Murph in there and have a good talk with him. Haven't got a chance to get with him. Kind of my work schedule's kind of been crazy. Wesley, you know about where I'm going with that, how my work schedule's been here lately and everything. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to get with Murph. But I would love to get him on here in the very near future and see what kind of beef he's got. Because I heard he's a hell of a fan, so we'll end up finding out about old Murph. That's Murph's Magical Creations.
And we were talking about the first ever race at Darlington. We got beef! September 4th, 1950. I wasn't even born yet. That was the first ever race. Did you know, Jacob Reeves, that the race lasted 6.5 hours and 40 seconds for the inaugural Southern 500? That's right, 6 hours, 38 minutes and 40 seconds on a Labor Day Monday. 75 cars were entered in the race. Johnny Madman Mance was the inaugural winner of the Southern 500. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that, and I bet you right now, if it went 6 hours long, if that sucker went 6 hours long, I guarantee you they had a 12-pack sitting over there in the passenger seat, because you go that long while you're driving, you got to end up having a beer one way or another on that. And some of those guys probably ended up wrecking out of those 70-plus cars, probably wrecking out because they probably had a little bit too much. There's a good possibility, but check this out. Weatherholt still right behind Rondoletto. This place is very, very hard to pass, Wesley. This track is very line sensitive, especially through 1 and 2. You got to drive down, obviously come in high, and then come down as low as you can and let the car drift up towards the wall. Don't hit it or nothing, but just let it drift straight up, and then give it a little bit of throttle, and then when you come off of turn number 2, then you got to get it down to the bottom side because you'll get real tight. We'll see it right here with Rondoletto. Watch what happens. On the bottom, drifts up to the wall. Watch what happens. Lifts a little bit, comes down, because if he doesn't, he's going to end up tagging the turn 2 wall. Straight down the back straightaway going into turn 3. Check it out. Rev limiter literally pegged right there going into 3 and 4. And then at this point, it's wherever you want to run. You can run right on the bottom side. You can run up top. You can run wherever you want. Bottom side will save your tires. Up top will actually burn them up more, but you'll be able to get that run like Weatherholt's being able to do, is get that run and try to get right up on the back bumper of Rondoletto. And that's pretty much a lap here for the Xfinity cars as we get one right into the wall. 54 Ballesteros. But that's pretty much a lap here at Darlington.
It is. And it's a fun lap. It's an egg-shaped racetrack as they work again off turn 4 in front of the massive grandstands. And we are in the second half of this race. By the way, it's flying by rather quickly. 40 minutes since the drop of the green. We are already on lap number 80. We are halfway home in this race. Hey, by the way, we're going to step away real quickly. And here's a word from Premier Racing Setups. We're back with more from Darlington in just a moment. Thanks for being with us. Obviously, Premier Racing Setups is a big partner for NASRA. We have to fulfill our broadcast obligations, and that's why we had to take care of them. 3 laps to go. You've not missed anything. NASRA playoffs race for the Blanchards towing Xfinity Series from Darlington. Or I maybe might have spoke too soon. Hold it together, boys. We're 3 wide going down the Bowen backstretch. JP 3, and there's contact. Austin Evie turned into the wall. Trouble in 3 and 4.
Both of them was right there trying to not get left. They were too wide. Austin Evie, Tristan Bruce, and the leaders were right behind them. Caution out, and that should end up being stage number 2 in. Rondoletto will get that stage win. Weatherholt will end up having to settle for second. He was right up his back bumper, but when they went 3 wide, Evie just kind of comes up right there. Tristan Bruce was there. Kind of a no-no, I guess you could say, Wesley, with lap drivers double wide right there while the leaders are trying to go around them. And he kind of, they forced his hand. They had to put him 3 wide. They got to go right there. And you'll see it right here. Rondoletto jumps down to the bottom. Evie up top. And he kind of just, he crowds Tristan so much over into the wall that Tristan just ain't got no choice. He's just got to come over with a left hook. It ends up spinning him around, and caution ends up coming out.
And the caution was going to be coming out anyway because we were going to the end of stage number 2, presented by Glass Mechanic. And believe it or not, Octavio Rondoletto is going to win both stages, is what we're finding out from race control from our NASRA officials, Jacob Reeves. No correction, my apologies. Colin Weatherholt, winner of stage 1. Octavio Rondoletto, the winner of stage number 2.
Absolutely. So both of them up here running 1-2 right now, as you see them right there on pit road. Right side's going on, left side's going on. Who's going to beat who out? Looks like Rondoletto is going to win that race off of pit road. Weatherholt's going to come out in second. It looks like Lautaro Lamperti is going to come out third right here. So got the teammates up here with Flaming Karma Racing up here. Going to be 1 and 3 up here at the front for this restart.
By the way, Bo Tiffany chimed in and he said, with our current North Carolina weather, do they have an alternate date for the Clash if it snows? Well, Jake, Bo, if you remember, last year, severe weather hit Los Angeles. They made the alternative decision to run everything on a Saturday night before the bad weather hit on Sunday. I don't want to say that it was a disaster, but they made that conscious decision to do that to beat the weather. And I will tell you that usually per the NASCAR rule book, if there is an issue of weather, they normally try to fit it into the next available day. With that being said, do you run the Clash at the Coliseum on a Monday? Do you run the Clash at the Coliseum on a Tuesday? And with winter weather interfering, I wonder if that's something that might intervene with maybe having another postponement date. And you got to remember too, Jacob, they got less than 10 days after the Clash when they're down at Daytona for Speed Weeks. And what I mean by that is Daytona Speed Weeks this year starts on February the 10th with practice. They're letting them practice this year for the Daytona 500 before qualifying. That's something different. So remember, you got less than a week, and you got to get your cars down to Daytona for Speed Weeks, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they should let them practice anyway. Honestly, I'm a traditionalist, Wesley. I believe that the Clash should be at Daytona like it always has been. But here we go, stage 3, getting ready to rock and roll. Who's going to lock themselves into the next round? Rondeletto won in Michigan last week. It's a good jump. Lautaro Lamperti, obviously teammates with Rondeletto for Flaming Karma Racing. He's going to try to hold off Weatherholt, but Weatherholt's going to get a run off turn 2. He gets loose.
And Weatherholt bounces off the Bowen backstretch retaining wall, opens the door to the Butcher. Here comes Lautaro Lamperti. The Argentine, it's now 1 and 2 off 4 here as we start stage 3 at Darlington.
Oh, boy, and that was door banging right there for the second spot, and he almost took Weatherholt, but they save it. Tried to side draft, almost left rear hook Weatherholt. Lamperti, he's going to slip back to Darren Bruce. Wesley, you were talking about it a second ago. The first and second stage seemed like it was a little bit boring, but Devin, if he had just fired up right here for stage 3.
It has literally lit the C4 fuse. It is go time. And right now, working the front straightaway, Rondeletto in the lead. Weatherholt, Lamperti, it's magical as the sun sets in virtual Darlington. They're back in turn 2 up against the wall.
And front 2 trying to see if they can separate themselves. Lamperti back in third. Darren Bruce, Toddy Horse, Ryan Johnson. That is your top 5. Dean Doucette trying to see if he can make some moves, jump up here with Toddy Horse and try to run for that 5th spot. But the front 2 remain the way that they are. Rondeletto and Weatherholt trying to break away from the rest of the field and settle it between both of them.
Rondeletto, Weatherholt, Lamperti, Bruce Johnson. By the way, next time we're able to grab them, because we did get a little bit off subject there, talking about some things in regards to NASRA and the Bowman Gray event. We will try to grab Weatherholt and Rondeletto. Right now, they raced on. Don't forget tomorrow night, NASCAR Cup Series. It will be at Virtual, Iowa. There's been 10 winners and 10 races on the season. Thursday used to be Goat Locker Racing. We're still working on something for a Thursday fill-in. But this Thursday, we'll have a Hot Lap podcast. And I'm understanding, Jacob, that we're going to preview the night before, the eve of Charlotte, if you will. All 6 of the Cops drivers, Cody Knott will be joining Brady LaBeouf, is what I meant to say, as well as Tyler Dittler. We'll make your plans on Thursday to join him for that as we're working, Jacob, lap 90 of this race.
Absolutely, and hopefully Thursday, if all goes well and all the work schedules and all that stuff is straightened out, obviously the door banging download will pop out. It's 2 episodes that we have through the week. As you see Toddy Horse shooting right by Darren Bruce, and Casey Meek is planned as the guest on here. Some of you might be like, well, who the hell is that? Well, Casey Mink used to race a lot here in Nazareth, and he's a great person. I've had the chance to talk to him a couple of times, and he has wanted to come on the show for quite some time, so Casey Mink will get his opportunity, as well as obviously the Engine Heat episode that will talk about what's going on right here in Darlington, which is Colin Weatherholt, who got to the inside of Rondoletto, and he is trying to check out and get gone. But remember what happened right there in stage 2. Rondoletto done the leapfrog. He pitted early, and he was able to get out in front of Weatherholt. And at that point, he ended up getting that stage 2. Check it out right here. This was the pass for the lead, Wes.
On the inside, making the run for him. Look at that. And Jacob, you kind of hit it on this earlier, and the Door Banging Download podcast goes into great detail of it in the previous Down Dropped episode. You talk about Colin Weatherholt, you talk about Octavio Rondoletto, and you mentioned the word kryptonite after Rondoletto beat Weatherholt at Michigan last week. Is tonight kryptonite for Rondoletto at a track that Weatherholt's done really good at in the past at Darlington, and does that make it even fair game on the road to the playoffs?
I think it does, really, because, you can look at it from numerous standpoints that some of these drivers, like certain tracks, may be their kryptonite, but honestly, I think what it is Weatherholt actually listened to that episode, and maybe he's been hearing about all this that's been going on with Rondoletto this, Rondoletto that, and we keep talking about Rondoletto a bunch because he goes out there and he wins this race, he wins this race, he wins this race. I think he actually got a little bit beefed up and finally said, you know what, I've had enough of this. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to try to put it down, and I'm going to go ahead and put myself out here. This is my series. I'm a past champion. I won, the DSR Electric Truck Series championship for season 4. I want to go for the championship in the Xfinity Series and cement myself as one of the greats here with Nazareth. And I think when he listened to that last episode and listened to the kryptonite and all that I was talking about, I think it just fired him up that much more. And he finally just said, you know what, screw it. We're going to send it this way. His lines, send it too much, and he's going to get sideways, but he saves it.
Lucas Lyons, Owensboro, Kentucky driver, Daytona winner last night, up into the wall. Got himself a big Darlington gash. Not a stripe, it's a gash. But somehow, battered, banged, and bruised, back on the high horse and keeps rolling as he'll hold on tonight as they work back into 3.
And check out Michael Lawrence right there in the 11. He's still trying to run down, I should say, Tidy Horse for that 4th spot. Everybody kind of spreading out right there. You see Lamperti right there. Then you got Tidy Horse and Lawrence. You don't see the leaders because they're 2 seconds up the road right now, trying to settle it between both of them. As you see Weatherholt right now in the 22, being very calm, cool, and collected, just putting down basically time trial laps right here and just basically doing what he's always done. He ran a 30.0 that last time. Rondoletto was a 10th off. So both of them kind of mirroring one another right here. And like I said, barring something crazy happening with one of them right here, because they're going to have to make a pit stop before it's all said and done. But it's going to be between one of them. It's just really going to be who's going to get it. I had Tidy Horse for my pick to win here tonight. But Weatherholt may be trying to make me eat my words a little bit here tonight at Darlington.
Arlington rocking and rolling with Weatherholt in the lead. Rondoletto in second, and again they're rolling rawhide here on the virtual egg at Darlington. Man, this egg-shaped track. And if you're a fan of not knowing that song, they're rolling in the words of Limp Bizkit up against the outside wall. As now you see Rondoletto tag the wall, losing ground on Weatherholt as they work off the Boeing backstretch into turn 3, and the red lights blinking on the RPM monitor.
And absolutely bouncing it off the tachometer, and you're talking about rolling. Rondoletto, obviously, he wants to keep doing it my way, which is exactly what he would be saying, which is another song, obviously, by Limp Bizkit. And I know Dean is absolutely loving every bit of this, all this calling out for all these songs, but he wants to do it his way, and Weatherholt wants to do it his way as well. And these guys back here battling it out for that 3rd spot. Literally lined up right there. Lamperti, Tiny Horse, Ryan Johnson. Michael Larch back here, as you see Gerald Poole going to go down pit road for his pit stop. Should be the last one, give or take. They may end up going about 10 more laps right here. And then that way, when they go in here in about 10 laps, I'd say they have it split right down the middle. They'll go ahead and make their pit stop, and they'll be ready to rock and roll.
Down the back straightaway. That's the Boeing backstretch. By the way, if people did not know what Boeing is, Boeing came into the Palmetto region, bought out a whole bunch of land, and they build airplane parts. Some people were happy about it, Jacob, and then other people were PO'd because basically the land that got taken away was a lot of trailer parks and whatnot.
Yeah, they may end up having a little bit of beef out of all that, I guess you could say. But I mean, hey, yeah, they got beef about it. You know, I don't blame them off of that one bit. We're sitting out there, Bo Tiffany is sitting there saying that Weatherholt's saving fuel and he's clutching in the corners. That's something that you can do. Going down the front straightaway, maybe try to half throttle it. Maybe some guys try to half throttle it going down the straightaway because the less that you got on the pedal or on the loud pedal, the more that you're saving fuel. But at the same time, you can full throttle it going down through there on these straightaways, and then you clutch it right there in the corners. You see it right there, tachometer, and you saw how quick it dropped right there. Look at his tachometer all the way down to 1-0, wherever it is. It was right there about 0. So that's what he's doing. He's clutching going into the corners. Here's the crazy part about that one, Wesley. If he's clutching going into the corners, he's basically not being able to use the engine to slow the car down. So what he's having to do is he's not only using the clutch, but what he's also doing is that he's not having his foot anywhere near the throttle. He's basically having his right foot go from his gas pedal to his brake pedal. Then he's got his left foot on the clutch. So all that going on, he's trying to save enough to possibly make it all the way to the end. And it's possible if you've been saving all the way from the start of stage number 3. It is very possible, kind of unlikely, but it is possible. But he has got that strategy, and I've seen Weatherholt do this a couple of times. He may be able to pull it off.
Octavio Rondoletto going after Weatherholt. That battle continues again as they work their way back around the racetrack. Wow, not done yet.
Absolutely, we are not done yet. We are not done yet, not by a long shot. And, you know, our producer's asking about this cone as we just actually saw one go down pit road. I'm looking to see exactly where that cone was. And we'll get a chance to actually try to look at that here in just a little bit. That way everybody will be able to see it. But we got guys going down pit road right there. You see Jeffrey Johnson Jr. going down pit road, and that actually kind of helps me out. That way I'll be able to see where that cone is. As a matter of fact, I kind of do see it right there. It's right there on the bottom. I tell you what, check it out. Looked like Darren Bruce looked like he was going to go down pit road there for a second. We may be able to see it there for a second. But it's right about this point right there. You just saw it just for a split second where that cone was. You'll be able to see it here in a minute, Dave. If you're riding on board with Darren Bruce, you'll be able to see it down there on the inside. But that cone, you'll see where the yellow line ends up merging in. And there's that cone that is sitting right there at that point. No, that's where they exit the pits. That's where they exit the pits. They keep looking right here. When they go into 3, you'll see where the cone is. Keep looking over here to your left side. When they drive into 3, watch the line. Keep looking. Right there it is. There's your cone, Dean. So, attaboy, Dean. Wesley, we helped him find a cone. How about that one? He found it. He found it.
I still can't see it. Where? I do see it. It's right at the bottom of it's right before you enter onto the pit road.
Well, let us know if there's a driver out there. Let us know when you're coming in advance so we can try to spot it.
So you can literally drop down on the pit road besides dropping all the way down to the apron in 3 is what you're saying, Jacob.
I mean, you can, but, you know, you see a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of them. Obviously, Jeffrey Johnson done the same thing that I would have done for his pit box. He went straight down and went as low as he possibly could. So.
Yeah, Jordan Durasic says, I went after that cone in the Friday Truck Series and got black flag. So I guess you can't do that.
There it is. I found it.
And there it is. You found it.
Yeah.
There it is.
The orange cone. You remember the ex-Twitter handle, the orange cone? There's our Nazareth orange cone right there.
Yeah, and I got to be honest with you, I think it may have a little bit of beef on me because there's been plenty of times where I T-boned that sucker. So there's plenty of times where I straight up ran it over. Not on purpose, obviously, but, I mean, you just get in them situations where you just straight up just send it, trying to get in there and get as much time as you can because you don't want to lollygag or anything like that when you go into the pits. You want to send it and try to get in there as fast as you can and get out as fast as you can because obviously it's just by seconds. It's by seconds and even milliseconds to where it can be you winning a race or you end up finishing second, third, or hell, even 11th. So it's game by seconds, it's game by speed. And like I said, there's been plenty of times where I T-boned them cones. But that's just trying to get in there and just trying to get in there just a little bit too hot. And you end up overdriving and overstepping your boundaries, and you end up getting that black flag.
Yes, Jordan Durastic at the orange cone. You're exactly right. I got beef with the cone. So does Bo Tiffany. There's the orange cone. That looks like the VLC media player cone from back in the day. Do y'all remember that, Jacob?
I think
remember the VLC media player? That was the days before LimeWire.
I think that's exactly what the cone was. Looked exactly like it, to be honest with you. But, oh boy! But I'll say
We're
this,
telling how damn old we are. I'm sorry. I have a habit of doing that. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm sorry. I called you out, VLC. What do you got, Jacob? 35 to go, by the way.
Oh, God, I can't believe you just did that. Anyway, but, you know, the big thing about this right here is you saw Weatherholt. He was clutching it. He was trying to save all that good stuff. And now he's kind of somewhat picked up the pace. I mean, I haven't actually looked into his head car. We may be able to check it out one more time. I'm looking at it on my end to see if Weatherholt's actually clutching it right here. And he goes into one. He ain't clutching it. So, I mean, either he saved enough fuel, Wesley, either that, or he finally just come down to the point where he said, you know what, screw it, I ain't going to be able to make it to the end. May as well just go ahead and try to race it out with Rondoletto right here. The problem is when he was trying to save, Rondoletto got around him. It's like I was talking about. It's hard to pass here, so hopefully he didn't really screw himself right there, because if he did, that he's going to look back at all that right there and he's going to go, what if?
Octavio Rondoletto, you're on board with the man that's leading. Remember, finally got around Weatherholt. And now we see Rondoletto and Weatherholt going at it for the finish to flip-flop them here. Air shades of Michigan all over again. Remember, Rondoletto won last week. Weatherholt finished in second. That's how it is right now. Jacob Reeves up Wesley Outwood. And the port cone, Oh, boy.
Oh, Lord. I've got
Jacob
some comments about that
stretch, man.
Yeah. I've got some comments about that cone, but I'll talk about it on DVD later on this week. But Wesley, I mean, think about this for a second. You were talking about this right here. As you see Lem Purdy and Tidy Horse actually starting to kind of reel the way in right here. Get into this and make it a 4-horse battle, but think about it from Weatherholt's perspective. If somehow or another he does not end up winning this race right here, and Octavio ends up winning and he ends up finishing second, then you really got to think about that whole kryptonite thing that I was talking about. Is it getting at him? You got to think like that for a second, because if Rondoletto finishes ahead of him 2 times in 2 weeks, wins the race and he gets second, he's basically playing second fiddle to Rondoletto right there. It's going to end up playing some mind games with Weatherholt. He's got to sit there and figure, what do I have to do to beat this number 48?
We move into one more round, by the way, next weekend, and next Tuesday night, and that'll be at Richmond Raceway. Jacob, how unique is that track as well, man? We go from Michigan to Darlington. from a 2 mile to a 1 mile, and now a 3/4 mile racetrack to close out the first legs of the playoffs quarterfinals. And, you know, obviously Rondeletto, he wins this. He's 2 for 2 in the playoff rounds.
Yeah, I mean, and he could very, very easily go 3 for 3 at Richmond. I mean, they call him the showman for a reason, and there's a good possibility that he could be able to pull that off. Because now you see Lamperti starting to kind of close in right here, but Richmond is very, very unique. Obviously, Nazareth raced at Richmond numerous times. Obviously, the trucks, they know how to get it done. Nazareth Cup Series, we probably need to figure it out a little bit over there, but one thing about it, short tracks always produces beef. And, you know, a lot of these guys here in the Xfinity Series, I don't think any of them's got some serious beef with one another. But there's a possibility that you may end up seeing a little bit of that beef pump out at Richmond next week, especially right there with it being a cutoff race. So it should be a good time for Richmond. And I can't wait to get there. But we got to get through Darlington first, though, buddy.
Definitely got to get through Darlington Raceway. We look forward to seeing what happens as the ButtKicker 200 nears the end of this one. Closing in on the 25 remaining right now as they work the back stretch. A calm, cool, collected race. One caution flag came out right about at the end of stage number 2 in the Glass Mechanic stage 2. That was an incident that happened with Austin Evie and, of course, the other driver of Mr. Bruce. And other than that, it has been, for the most part, a very calm race. It's been a long green flag run. We've seen a cycle of green flag pit stops. And now, as we move to the finish of this one, it is Rondeletto Weatherholt, round 2, shades of Michigan last week, down the end here at Darlington.
Yeah, but, I mean, honestly, don't count out the 3rd and 4th place drivers, honestly, back here with Lamperti and Tiny Horse. Honestly, Lamperti a little bit closer than Tiny Horse is to these guys, but all 4 of them can literally fit in the screenshot right here. Weatherholt still staying right on the back bumper of Rondeletto right here. We'll see how this ends up working out, but now he's got to worry about his back bumper, as you saw just a second ago, with Lamperti starting to kind of close the gap. Tiny Horse not too far back, about 4/10 back to Lamperti. And then Jonathan Cofield and Darren Bruce are just straight up in another, honestly, I think they're in North Carolina. They're not in Birchwood, South Carolina. I think they're in Birchwood, North Carolina, honestly, because they are straight up off the map at this point. But there you see the front 4 guys right here. These are the front 4 that we're going to be talking about. Which one's going to make the pit stop? Who's going to try to stretch it? How are they going to do it? We'll figure it out here in the next 24 laps.
The ButtKicker 200 is nearing the home stretch as we're closing in on 24 laps to go. It has been a very quiet race. This is the playoffs. You've got to remember that. And this is the semifinals on the horizon after the next race at Richmond. Michigan last week won by Rondeletto. Rondeletto now getting around Weatherholt after a cycle of green flag pit stops before stage 3. And Jacob, as we mentioned, it has been these guys back and forth all season long in this season's battle. It ain't done yet.
No, sir, it is not done yet. It's like I said, we talked about, Rondeletto Weatherholt. This is what everybody's been wanting to see. They've been wanting to see the cream rise to the top. Well, son, it has rise to the top. But Lamperti and Johnson, they're sitting back here going, you know what? Y'all talk about them all y'all want to. Y'all need to be worried about us. And they're kind of laying in the weeds back here, maybe trying to pull some kind of strategy or wait, because there's a possibility, as tight as this place is, Wesley, these guys may end up getting into it. Maybe not intentionally, but just accidental damage. We already seen what could happen, with lap traffic. Last time they had lap traffic, you ended up having both these guys dive it down to the bottom and try to see if they could make it stick, and they did. It was the lap traffic that wrecked. But these guys back here, Lamperti and all them, they may be sitting back here laying in the weeds. basically just sitting there saying, all right, y'all go ahead and race it out. Weatherhold, look there for a second, almost got him in the back end. He's getting aggressive right here, coming 20 to go, Wes.
And speaking of 20 to go, we now go side by side to thank Premier Racing Setups. 20 to go for Nazareth. By the way, the boss man, Brady LaBeouf, says, hey, it sounds like Nazareth has found a mascot, the Orange Cone. Find out Thursday on the Hot Lap podcast. And by the way, thanks again to Premier Racing Setups as well. Everything from dirt, pavement, eNASCAR, ARCA, from top setup builders, one-on-one coaching, and so much more. Mention Nazareth, get 15% off. And of course, also 15% comes back into Nazareth's pocket as a battle goes on for the lead on the upper left box. Thanks again, Premier Racing Setups is now Rondeletto under attack. Weatherholt's there, and Austin Evie is right there in front of him as they battle for the lead, and there's contact! Oh, baby, that's Lane Purdy wanting to get the battle now!
Lamperti tried to get down to the inside. Weatherholt slid up a little bit, and Lamperti had a run. But the bad part about it, Weatherholt gets loose, jumps down, and Lamperti tags him straight into the back bumper. Jonathan Cofield back in the fifth spot. He's going to go down pit road. He's not going to be able to make it. Darren Bruce will stay out on the racetrack, but up front, Rondeletto saw that. Saw Weatherholt get loose, give him a little bit of breathing room right here, Wes. And that's what's going to end up hurting Weatherhold. His teammates right there with Flaming Karma Racing right there trying to work together right here. Lamperti not necessarily going for the win at this point. I think he's just trying to screw with Weatherhold a little bit and make him not worry about Rondeletto, make him worry about Lamperti himself.
Under 20 laps to go. Strap in. I'm Wesley Outland, Jacob Reeves alongside. Boy, oh boy, this has got a feeling to have the ingredients to be a barn burner on a shootout. As here comes Weatherhold, got that shot. Remember, here's something you got to think about too, Jacob, and you ran in Darlington before. You can't make the move on the bottom. And if you do make the move on the bottom, you got to go for a crossover, and you got to get quickly right up to the top of the banking. Back to the top of the banking, because you will lose momentum if you drive to the bottom of the racetrack here at Darlington.
I agree 100% with you on that, but I will say this, honestly, if you want to make a clean pass, make it over here in 3 and 4, unless you can just end up getting a better run coming off the corner. You can tag them in the back bumper and spin them around, which obviously that's not what Weatherhold wants to do. If you want to put them in a bad spot, if you're able somehow or another to get in a position maybe to the outside in 1 and 2 and make them have to lift right there coming off of turn number 2, and you can get to their outside and make them lift, you'll be able to shoot right around them. That's what Weatherhold would be a good idea for him to do. Or like you were talking about, try to get the run on the outside or just straight up run him over. I mean, he was that close, he about ran him over right there. But if he can get up on that high side, get the run, dive down to the inside, and like you were talking about, send it in there, and then try to cross the nose over and try to slide up right in front of Octavio Rondeletto, I think that's what Weatherhold needs to do. But the problem is, every time I've seen him go through 3 and 4 here for the past couple laps, he doesn't take the top. He's taking the bottom. I think he's trying to save his stuff right here for about 5 laps to go, or depending on whatever they pit, because I think he may be able to pull this off right here with what they say. I think he might have saved enough fuel, but I mean, who knows at this point? Only they know.
Ready to pounce on him like a coiled cobra. Reel him in on that like a Colts Poppers fishing lure. And by the way, we haven't seen a lot of replays tonight either. One caution in the race presented by Turbo. And don't forget, February 3rd to the 8th, the Great American Sim Race and the Nazareth 500 as we peel that flyer and get back to the action, because Weatherhold's got a new renewed figure going after Rondeletto with Cofield off board.
Both of them got loose coming off of turn 2, and Weatherhold still had a little bit of a run. It ended up getting in the back end of Rondeletto. It damn near turned him around coming off turn 2. Here comes Cofield. 1 lap down, made his pit stopper. No, excuse me, that is not Weatherhold. I thought it was. That's the 70 of Tristan Bruce, which actually would be 3 by the time it had scored. He's going to get up here. Weatherhold gives the tag down to Rondeletto. Bruce is going to go around on the outside, and Rondeletto almost squeezes him into the fence. Tristan Bruce playing around with the leaders up here. 1 lap down, or 2 laps down, rather.
lap traffic trying to decide the outcome of this race. Tristan Bruce, timing and scoring, has him as a number 3. He's in a real tree, number 70. And now he has decided to get into this dogfight with the top 3 ready to battle. You've got Colin Weatherholt, the man, of course, and that number 22 from Indiana, from the Hoosier State, separated by a couple of Argentinian drivers. 10 to go. Strap in. It's going to be a humdinger here in D-Town.
I'll say this. These 3 up here straight up slugging it out like it's a heavyweight title fight up here. I agree with Bo Tiffany. Don't count out Ryan Tiny Horse Johnson as Weatherholt gets up into the fence.
Wow.
Lamperti's going to send it down on the bottom side. Weatherholt slips through 3 and 4. Lamperti gets down the inside. He's trying to side draft and pull it back, but Weatherholt gets clear. And like I said, I agree with Bo. Don't count out Tiny Horse. He's back there, right back there, kind of laying in the weeds. Bo says that they can they make it on fuel? Son, it's going to be close. It's going to be real close. We saw Colin saving right there at the front part of it right there. This is going to be interesting to see if they can make it.
Another battle of fuel mileage up for grabs. The orange cone could be a big deciding factor of whether they come down to the pit lane or not. Rondoletto and Weatherholt. Now you've got Rondoletto pulling away. Lamperti is now trying to take care of the Highline Racing 22 of Weatherholt to get second as they work their way back into the corner. I ain't gonna lie to you, Jacob. These guys behind the leader, they need a caution as Lamperti's in the wall. The Butcher tags the outside wall. He still stays in the gas. How much damage on the 91 as they work the 7 to go at Darlington?
I think he just kissed the wall, honestly. I mean, these guys right here, I mean, just a little bit of a love tap up under the wall. The best thing that he had for him right there is he got up, got on the wall, and he got off of it as quick as he could. You don't want to get up there and hug the wall, because if you hug the wall, then you're going to end up getting bypassed big time. Even though there's a gap between Lamperti and Ryan Tiny Horse Johnson, if you're going to hit the wall, bounce off of it, get off of it, and keep on trucking. Shout out to all 36 of you out there on the live chat. Jordan Oreska is absolutely loving the cone. And if you love the cone, and if you love the Nashville 360 Racing Network, make sure you like it, subscribe to it. As Weatherholt is back here digging. He slipped a little bit a while ago. He is trying to reel in Rondoletto and knock the kryptonite out of his mind. He wants to try to say that, yeah, I finally got him, but he's got to worry about Lamperti back here messing with him as well.
Oh, and by the way, the black Budweiser, Dualweiser, number 38 Chevrolet, Wisconsin's Ryan Johnson. He is now also reeling in those 3 drivers up in front. The trio could become a quad to determine the finish of this race. Walking down the back straightaway, down the Boeing back stretch. 4 cars, possibly, to fight it out here. Can they stay in the gas and stay also in the fuel mileage as well? That's something we got to keep an eye on. Can they hold on and save fuel to the line? 4 miles left to go at Darlington with these 4 drivers duking it out in turn 1 and still Rondoletto the leader.
I don't think they're going to have to worry about fuel, honestly, Wesley, because if they had to worry about fuel, I think they would have already made that opportunity to jump down pit road about halfway through it, and they would have went ahead and went for the fuel. But they could surprise me. Maybe they're going to be right there on the brink of being able to make it, and you know, maybe they're chancing it right here at this point. But like I said, these guys up here, they know what they're doing. I think if they was going to end up making that pit stop, they would have already made that sucker by now. But Weatherholt has got to start putting in some laps. He's got to quit worrying about Lamperti right behind him, because the problem is he's running as fast as Rondoletto. Well, that ain't going to work right now. He has got to find some time and start clicking off 0.2 of a second, at least a lap, if he wants to have any shot to try to catch Rondoletto and get this win coming to 2 together.
Ready to make that move for that spot, penultimate lap for the race here. As right now, some drivers getting laps back, or they're up in the front. Here they come across the line. This is it, 2 to go. And all the while, Rondoletto is in the lead. There's the interval now. He's opened it up to about 3/4 second over Weatherholt. There you see Weatherholt and Lamperti. His team, his friend and teammate from Argentina right there in 3. They're working off turn 4. Probably one of the most interesting, entertaining, and caution less field races we've seen in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. White flag with 1 to go, presented by Darlington Gun Repair. 1 to go at Darlington. Can Rondeletto hold on the other side?
He has got plenty of room, but here comes Lamperti. Lamperti down on the inside of the 22. They contact. He sends him into the fence. Both of them end up going around Weatherholt in a huge spin as Rondeletto goes through 3 and 4 for the final time for the win.
We won at Michigan last week with Weatherholt. Lamperti made short pickings of Weatherholt down the back stretch here at Darlington. 2 wins in a row in the playoffs for the Blanchards. Joe and Xfinity Series Argentina driver does it again. The showman, Octavio Rondeletto, wins the ButtKicker 200 in Darlington. And yes, sir, cue up the soundtrack. We got beef between the 91 and the Double Deuce.
I believe that we do. I'm actually kind of waiting to see if Weatherholt ends up coming back around right here to try to get up here and maybe have him a little conversation, I guess you could say, with Lautaro Lamperti right there. Weatherholt has actually, I think he actually went across the line and he just went ahead and backed straight out of the sim. Not happy right now is Colin Weatherholt in the number 22, but we'll have to go back and look at it and make sure because maybe Weatherholt slipped up. Maybe he did. We saw him slip up a couple of times. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. We'll have to go back and look at it because it happened so quick right there, Wes. But there you see it right there.
Wow.
Octavio just absolutely burning it down 2 weeks in a row for Octavio.
And you can't fault in any way Octavio Rondeletto, Jacob Reeves, because he did exactly what he needed to do. He was up ahead. It was sayonara, goodbye field, even to his teammate Lamperti. Now the question is, was there a slip? The answer is no. To the left rear, Lamperti got into Weatherholt, and then it's kind of like they locked horns and never let go until the 22 went around. Wow.
Yeah, Weatherholt, he didn't really have a...
I got a feeling that NASCAR and the race directors might have something to say about this, Jacob. If they're so quick to DQ a guy for what happened at Nashville after 32 caution flags last Friday night, you got to wonder if something might stem from this, even though it's for second and not a win.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it on my end right here with Weatherholt and Lamperti. And, Weatherholt, he had to come down a little bit. If he didn't, he was going to straight up slap the turn 2 wall. Lamperti kind of put him in that position. But at the same time, Lamperti did come up a little bit. They kind of met in the middle, to be honest with you. If you see it once again right here on the instant replay, Weatherholt up top, Lamperti down on the bottom. Weatherholt's going to come down, but he ain't got no choice. If he doesn't, he's going to slam the turn 2 wall. But there you see Lamperti come straight up the track. He's going to say probably that he got tight right there, and he ends up getting into him. But it ain't going to. It ain't going to make Colin Weatherholt feel any better. He's going to have some beef right there.
And Jacob, we'll go to the results here in just a second, as it'll be posted in a moment. But I will say as well, there's 2 faults here. Could the 22 have lifted on the 91? No, because the way this track is designed, the way this track is configured, he would have slammed the outside safer barrier, just like you said, Jacob Reeves. With that said, could the 91 maybe lifted a little bit? Maybe. But thirdly, it's the white flag lap, buddy. All bets are off. They'll have to determine it in race control. We're just broadcasters. But what another great finish for NASCAR at Darlington. Rondeletto takes the win. Let's take a look at the results here at the ButtKicker 200. And again, 1 caution flag to halt this race. Octavio Rondeletto. Screen, please. Octavio Rondeletto is the winner. The showman does it again. 2 wins in the playoffs now for Flamin' Karma Racing. Lautaro Lamperti. We will get the thoughts of the Butcher coming up in a few moments as well in post-race. Ryan Johnson will finish 3rd. Darren Bruce, Justin White, a solid top 5. Canadian Dean Doucette finishing 6th. Greg McConey, Bernard Person, Lucas Lyons, Colin Weatherholt, Jacob, though he got taken out, still a solid top 10 finish.
Absolutely. And Michael Lawrence is going to come home 11th with Jonathan Cofield finishing in 12th. Austin Evie will end up finishing 13th. Tristan Bruce will end up finishing 14th. Triple J, Jeffrey Johnson Jr. will end up finishing 15th with Charles Joplin in 16th. Adam Newton will end up finishing 17th here this evening with Gerald Poole finishing in 18th. Drew Ballesteros, Trevor C. Williams, and Dean Gagliano, the 21 drivers. TJ Moore was your race director.
And TJ Moore and Cody and Brady and the members of the board are going to have to decide, along with the orange cone, what will happen with the second place finish of the race. Now, we're going to take a break. Thank you, Dean. We're going to take a break. If we hear anything before post-race and we go off the air, we will let you know. But right now, as it stands, this is unofficial. As right now, again, Ryan Johnson third, Toro Lamperti second, and Octavio Rondoletto is the winner of the ButtKicker 200. We're back with more after an extended commercial break, because my God, Hallie, we got to thank our sponsors from NASRA. We're back with more in just a moment. Rondoletto wins back-to-back playoff races in the NASRA Xfinity Series.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
Let the celebration begin. Octavio Rondoletto wins the ButtKicker 200. The road to the NASRA 500 continues here at virtual Darlington, February 3rd to the 8th for the big race. And, of course, we'll have it for you, as always, on the NASRA 360 Racing Network. Wesley Outland, Jacob Reeves alongside, and Octavio Rondoletto, the showman, joins us yet again. Congratulations, man. Another playoff win and closer and closer to the Run Tour Championship from Argentina. Congrats, sir.
Hi, Wesley, Dean, Jacob. Wow, what a race, man! Uh, this is just the first race with my new wheelbase, direct drive, and you can't imagine how bad my shoulder is. The race was really difficult to hold the pace, to maintain the pace, especially in the end, saving fuel. Like last week in Atlanta, this was really similar. Well, I'm surprised about how the race finished. I was thinking about a different strategy, but okay. I'm in the victory lane again, and that's really great.
Octavio, we were seeing a while ago, we were watching the in car of Colin Weatherholt right there, about at the start of the stage number 3. He was sitting there clutching it and tried to save fuel. That way he wouldn't have to pit right there at any point at stage 3. I'm curious, how close was you on fuel? Were you like maybe, what, 3 laps short or 3 laps to the good or what? How close was you on fuel right there, bud?
It was 2 laps short in the beginning of the stage. I had to save that 2 laps, and I finished like at Atlanta last week with just half lap of fuel. So I don't know. I think I made it just made it because I have only 0.5 liters in my tank. That's again, I believe 0.1 or 0.2 gallons.
Octavio, I got to ask you this question, man. What's your take of how you have developed as a driver from where you started? Let me find that word here. From where you started, I want to say, where are you looking at now? 5 or 6 Xfinity wins. You, of course, won in the NASRA Cup Series last Wednesday night. We got Iowa tomorrow night. What's your take of how you've developed and so fastly with the NASRA brand, Octavio?
I started in R Factor, running NASCAR, and since 2017, I'm here doing laps and laps around the ovals. I believe I have more than 15,000 hours here. So this is practice. You have to be consistent, practice every day, work on it, watch the rivals, study the rivals, and find what they are doing different. For example, I have to admit, Colin Weatherholt was doing an amazing job in the first races, and I copied some things in the entry of the corner. And well, I'm trying.
I want somebody to think about this, Jacob, Dean, everyone out there. This was his 25th up till tonight. This was career start 26, and I'm looking at across the entire spectrum of NASRA. I'm a stat guy, Jacob Reeves. You know that, buddy. I'm a savant. Out of 25 starts in NASRA, Octavio Rondeletto has now secured his 11th win, 19 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. That's just breakout numbers right out of the gate. And by the way, Octavio, you got a lock on the front row, at least towards the quarterfinals of the championship, because somebody has got to try to stop you at Richmond, and you're going to try to go for the hat trick next week, I believe.
I have to start in the back next week at Richmond. Richmond is a different track. It's a short track, different to overtake, difficult to overtake. So I'll be patient, man. I'm locked in it for the next round. I need no penalty for the next round, and well, it's just enjoy and try to make some money in in the stages or in the end.
Well, buddy, before we let you go, thank your sponsors, and we'll see you next week.
Well, thank you, HJs, Aussies.com, Flaming Karma Paint Shop, Flaming Karma Racing, Jerry Poole, Lautaro Lampetti, Richie Joplin, Bike 500, my road course team, Ramiro for this amazing simulator that I'm using today, my road course teammates, my family, they're watching the race, friends, everybody. And congratulations to my rivals in the track, to Ryan, to Lautaro. I don't know what happened in the end. You'll have to check it. To Colin. Colin was extremely fast today. You guys, thank you.
I got to ask you one more question, and I'll let you go. What has the morale been like between you and Colin Weatherholt? Do you guys kind of conversate? Have you had any interaction with him? And what do you say about the battle between you and him? And Jacob Reeves used the word on the door banging door download. You're his kryptonite of Nazareth now. Your take on that?
I only speak with him here in the booth, but he's extremely fast and he's a great rival. He's pretty clean, and I really enjoy to race with him because he challenged me to improve every week.
There is a rival between Argentina and U.S. drivers, but there is a lot of respect there also. Octavio Rondoletto, thank you, buddy. Don't go anywhere. I know he's a translator for Argentinian driver Latoro Lamperti. And I believe we've got breaking news. Dean Hopton, we ain't heard from him all night, but breaking news, the Cole gets an EOL. Well, I mean, the Cole was on the racetrack the entire ride. I think right now the funny thing is, I don't want to get off subject in post race. Damn you, Dean. But they're coming up with names. Brady LaBeouf says names. Shank the cone. Brady LaBeouf says shank the cone. Somebody says the fuel master. Somebody says money in dollar signs. Somebody says cone name Jack. So whatever is the best one, maybe you'll get some kind of a prize from Nazareth. So, but yeah, let's Latoro hang with us as Octavio Rondoletto will be your interpreter as always. I just got to ask you, this is unofficial right now.
Oh yeah,
and I like to ask the question, Latoro Lamperti, the butcher. You're a very clean race, a flawless race. Your take of what happened between you and Weatherholt on the last lap. And in my defense, it's the white flag. All bets are off. I said that in your defense, I meant to say. But would you have done things differently, Octavio?
Bueno, Lauti, tuviste una carrera muy limpia. Esto no es oficial todavía, pero bueno, contanos qué es lo que pasó en la última vuelta con Colin. Para tu defensa, Wesley dice que, bueno, fue la última vuelta.
No, la verdad fue una buena carrera. Me largué último casi. Fui avanzando y bueno, llegué ahí en la última vuelta y era todo o nada. Y pedirle perdón a Colin, pero bueno, ¿qué va a hacer?
He had the truth. He had a clean race. He started almost in the back last, and well, it was last lap. He said really sorry to Colin. He was pushing everything, win or die, and he said really sorry. He didn't mean to do that.
And, Latero, I'll bring this up as well, buddy. I mean, you started all the way back there in the back, at least from what we were saying. I believe you started around the 16th spot. And, you get to this point right here where you got your teammate with Flaming Karma up there with Octavio up there, and then you got Colin right there in the middle. I know you want to get a win. I mean, you come so damn close a couple times to getting you a win, but at that point, knowing that Weatherholt's back there behind Rondoletto and everything, was it in your mind to just sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to try to put all the pressure that I can, obviously not what you did, but try to put as much pressure as I can to try to make Weatherholt not worry about Rondoletto and make him worry about me. That way my teammate can try to get away and get the win.
Bueno, Lauti, tuviste una carrera muy limpia, fuiste para adelante siempre, tuviste pensado, digamos, cuando llegaste para adelante, meterle presión a Colin, como para que no se preocupe de mí y se preocupe más de vos.
No, yo en todo momento intenté ir para adelante. Si podía pasarlo a Colin antes e ir a buscarte, digamos, lo hubiese hecho, pero bueno, no me dio el tiempo. Y venía con el tema de combustible complicado.
he tried to pass Colin early and try to catch me and get the win. But he was complicated with the fuel too.
Well, of course, the Butcher joining us, Latoro Lamperti, Octavio Rondoletto on the translation here to get his thoughts. And I'll tell you, I got to ask this question. Octavio, you had your teammate right there behind you. Ask Latoro what it was meaning to, I guess, kind of push you to the win, or at least have your back, if you will, for the finish of the race. What that meant to see the two Argentinian drivers racing for the finish of the race.
I can't answer that. He was extremely faster than me in the end. So I believe if he passed Colin early, I think he could win the race.
Gotcha. Some new names are coming in. They're saying Speed Bump Buddy, Turn Terror. That's Dean Hopton. He doesn't count. All right, man. Latoro, thank you for your time, buddy. We'll see you next week at Richmond. Before we let you go, please thank your sponsors, man.
Bueno, nos vemos la semana que viene y te dejan lugar para agradecer a tus sponsors.
Dale la gracia al sponsor, ayer más que nada. Así que a por la próxima.
Thanks to Jerry and going to the next one.
On to the next one. Thank you very much. There you go. There's the thoughts of Flamin' Karma Racing drivers Octavio Rondoletto and Latoro Lamperti, the Butcher. He'll finish second after the incidents there at the finish with Colin Weatherholt. Right now, it stands. It is unofficial. If anything changes, we'll let you know. Let's grab now Taz Motorsports driver Ryan Johnson, the tiny horse. You're kind of watching all this in your front windshield, and you just kind of weaseled on by there when it counted the most, right? What's your take on what happened in front of you and a good solid podium, sir? Conezilla! I like that.
Yeah, man. To be honest, for pretty much all the race, I didn't think I'd see any of them guys anymore. It took me probably over half the race to try and figure out what in the world I was doing wrong, because I couldn't keep up with them. They're just so fast. Yeah, I went back and watched the replay between Colin and Lataro, and I think their lines just met off of two. I mean, I think Colin had the typical line that we were running most of the night, and you got to come down off of two, otherwise the momentum just carries you right into the wall. And Lataro was there, and I'm sure he got tight being down there, and you're trying to come off the corner with as much speed as you can. They hit, and at that point I saw Colin sideways, and I'm like, uh-oh, and I just did my best to avoid him. I didn't know how slow Lataro was going to be, so I tried to keep the momentum up, and if I could catch him and pass him right at the end. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But I mean, got a solid finish tonight, so we'll move on to next week.
And, Ryan, I mean, that's, a great comment about that, because you sit there and say that you got a solid finish out of it tonight. You think about it, you got third last week in Michigan, you get third here tonight. I got a feeling I know why you didn't end up winning the races. It's because I picked you on door banging download, but that's beside the point. But, you go for third and third, back and forth right there. I mean, that's still got to be good. I mean, even though, Octavio's up there winning all these races and everything, you're just basically just doing tiny horse things and just trying to mosey along and just try to go through the rounds. I mean, is that what you're feeling right now out of all that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when you got competition like Colin, Octavio, Lataro, and a bunch of these other guys, man, it gets hard. It gets tough. You got to be on your game every week with these guys. I mean, they're just they don't really make mistakes. So I mean, I'll definitely take third against some really, really tough competition. I mean, that's consistency is always great. And I mean, I've won, I think, the regular season championship in the Xfinity series for the third time this season, but unfortunately I think we finished third in the last two championship races. So I don't know. One of these days it's going to pay off for us, but I just don't know when. We just with the playoffs, you got to keep making it to the next round, and that's what we're trying to do right now. So, I mean, these last two finishes have helped us out. So,
Ryan, I got to ask you this question, buddy, because you have been with the NASCAR Xfinity Series duly noted longer than the Argentinians have, but obviously the pressure down the stretch going to the end. Does that make you drive differently? Does that make you maybe kind of hesitantly not get up in that battle between Blanchard and Weatherholt like you saw earlier and just kind of being happy with the podium finish?
No, not tonight. I just couldn't get there tonight. I felt I made a huge leap after stage 2 in what I was doing wrong, but it still just wasn't enough tonight. For a while there, I got a couple runs on Lautaro, but it was just never enough because it seemed like he just sped up after that, and then I was just trying to chase him again. So no, it wasn't by choice tonight. Normally we're pretty good at saving tires, but I don't know what I was doing tonight, man. It wasn't working for us as well as it normally does. So we'll hopefully have a better run, or hopefully we'll be able to save our stuff a little better next week and have a better shot.
Well, Bud, before I let you go, please thank your sponsors. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, got to thank DSR Electric, Highline Racing, Jason and all them guys, my teammates, Greg, Justin, Josh, and everybody at Nazra putting this on, Brady, you guys for broadcasting, DCD for my paint, and and apparently the cone tonight. I'll have to watch the replay because I'm not sure what's going on with the cone here.
well, you'll find out soon enough, Ryan. So thanks, buddy. Conezilla, there you go. Ryan Johnson, thanks for your time, buddy. We'll see you next week at Richmond.
Thank you, guys.
And there is your post-race interviews. Argentina 1-2 with, of course, all Chevrolets, by the way. The bow ties on the podium in a 1, 2, and 3 with Octavio Rondeletto, the winner. Second playoff win in a row here in the playoffs. He won last week at Michigan, does it at Darlington. Will he do it at the 3/4 mile Richmond Raceway next week in the quarterfinals? Finale we'll find out next week. Ryan Johnson will settle for third. All right. Jacob, with all that being said, hearing the thoughts of everybody in post, do you have a different thought of the finish of the race now? And by the way, do not let the crazy outcome of the finish of the race deter what a phenomenal race we saw here tonight at the ButtKicker 200, no doubt, at Darlington.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we have one caution, and it was just a bad deal. With lap traffic, having the leaders just jump up there and kind of scared them a little bit, I guess you could say, and it just kind of put them in a bad spot. But I mean, honestly, I believe it was Bo that actually said it best. I believe it was Bo, or it might have been Jordan, one of them out there in the live chat that said it best. This is one of the best Xfinity races that they've seen with Nazra, and I agree with them 100%. But I mean, you look at the whole deal right here. I talked to Colin about it a little bit. When we were in the green room, I went down to their group chat. I went down there and I talked to them, and I was like, what are you feeling about this? And he was like, well, I mean, I kind of put him in that particular situation. I was kind of thinking that he was going to lift a little bit, kind of cut me a little bit of a break, which, like you said, which he didn't actually say cut a break, but I mean, he said he put him in that situation. Both of them kind of met right there, and then he just gets tight and comes up and gets into him. I agree with you. That's racing to a certain extent. A lot of people is going to sit there and look at it, and they're going to think, oh, well, yeah, I mean, he just straight up goes up there and he dumps him. I don't think he done it on purpose, obviously. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't think Lautaro would do that on purpose. Now, at the same time, is Colin going to be PO'd about it? Well, yeah. I mean, anybody would be. But at the same time, like I said, I don't think he done it on purpose. I just think it's just a recipe for disaster when you come off of turn 2. Remember what I was talking about earlier? Treacherous turn 4, like they said in Days of Thunder. It's the same thing. It's just treacherous turn 2. It's just a completely different turn. So, but other than that, it was still a hell of a race. This is one of the best that I've seen here for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I'll just say this, Octavio Rondeletto and Colin Weatherholt, we've seen them pretty much be, and I said this earlier in the broadcast, the Pied Pipers of the NASRA Blanchard's Towing Xfinity Series. We've seen it in the past between Holden McGill and Colin Weatherholt, and you got a feeling this not meaning to become a rival is happening on its own foundation between Rondeletto and Colin Weatherholt, and I think it's going to come to a head. I think you're going to see these guys possibly go tit for tat all the way down the stretch when we decide the champion winner, when it's all said and done at Homestead. That's a big question mark, but obviously a highly entertaining one again tonight. Watch it again if you're looking at the results. We're showing you different camera angles of the finish. Obviously, this was the white flag lap and the finish for second place. Octavio Rondeletto's in his own world. You see Weatherholt. He's on the outside. He's not up against the wall, but he's running out of room. And that's my defense on this. There's two people to blame. You could have gave some room, Lamperti, but I'm understanding it's the white flag lap. All bets are off. I've always said that, Jacob Reeves. You know me. I'm a realist on that. But secondly, and most important, Weatherholt came down, but the reason why Weatherholt came down was he was going into the marbles. He was running out of room. He would have slammed the outside safe for barrier, which he went on to do anyway because of the configuration of Darlington Raceway. That's my story, my friend. I'm sticking to it. We were still entertained with a great classic in the NASRA Xfinity Series playoffs at Darlington tonight, sir.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 100%, and I mean, you also was talking about, the Pied Pipers. Obviously, Rondeletto and Weatherholt, they're the big dogs, I guess you can say, but there's a lot of big dogs that can really sneak up here and get this bad boy. Yes. I mean, if you go, honestly, if you go and you look at what we've got coming up, obviously, we got Richmond. That's going to be a good one. To say the least, and then anything can happen. We already saw chaos happen with the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series at Dover. Talladega, it's just Talladega. And then you go to Legacy Atlanta, you may get in one of them situations where, say, Rondeletto gets in a bad spot or whatever. He ends up getting in a bad spot at Dover, gets took out at Talladega, and then he's got to go in with a must-win in Atlanta to make it in the Championship 6. So, that first round right here coming out of the Sweet 20 going into the late 12, obviously every race matters, but I think when we get to this Elite 12 round, we're going to see some serious movement. We're going to see some guys probably do some crazy things we probably haven't ever seen here for the Blanchard's Towing Xfinity Series to try to make it into that Elite 6, and or Championship 6, I should say, and some of the moves may end up costing some other ones, and maybe even the Pied Pipers that we've been talking about throughout the season.
Well, when it's all said and done, Octavio Rondeletto gets it done here at Darlington in the ButtKicker 200. Next week, we are off to Richmond Raceway, the final race of the quarterfinals of the season number 3 of the Blanchard's Towing Xfinity Series. As always, follow us at NASRA-Racing.com. Thanks to Race Director TJ Moore, Brady LaBeouf, Cody Knott, Comezilla, Dean Hopton, Jacob Reeves. I'm Wesley Outland. Tomorrow night we're in Iowa. Friday night we're in Charlotte. Hit that like and subscribe. And as always, great iRacing content continues on the NASRA 360 Racing Network. Good evening from Darlington. This is one race we will certainly not forget.